Man. Well, we are back for our second episode here of the Mitten 15 from the Harvest Canteen, the new show here for the Mid Michigan Music History or the Michigan Music History Podcast. A lot of people are calling it the Mid Michigan Music History Podcast, but it's just the Michigan music. But we are out of Mid Michigan, so it all makes sense. And today's guest is Billy Young. How you doing, Billy?
Hey, I'm doing good, Scott. Real good.
Billy's been around quite a while in the area. He was telling me earlier, and him and I go way back. We found out we had to reminisce of a couple shows that we used to do back in the day. But Billy's been around, what, 20, 25 years or so?
Yeah, about that, man. About that. We started off with a little band, three-piece band called Burden back in the day. We played a little bit locally, but mostly in the Detroit and Port Huron scene. Things like that. It was kind of hard to get original music, played in bars, and everybody wants to hear that song. I came in through the window last night. You know what I mean?
Right.
Which is nothing wrong with that, guys. I'm just, just when you live across the street from the bar for about 5 years, and that's the ending song every night, it kind of gets on your nerves a little bit.
I get you. Yeah. I think we shared a couple festival things too at one point. I remember jamming with you guys on the end. I don't know. We did "Can't You See" or something somewhere in Freeland.
Oh yeah,
somewhere.
Yeah, man. That was that almost slipped my mind completely, man. Of course, with the life I've lived, sometimes it gets a little hard and heavy on the brain.
And I remember that. I got that record still. I got the CD.
Oh, do you?
Yeah. Oh yeah, man. Yeah. Who was in the band back then?
We had Dave Sabowski on the drums. He's my cousin, actually. We grew up together. And I started playing, about when I was 12, and he was just begging for a drum set his entire life that I've known him. But he finally got one when he was about 16, and man, he's just a natural. He was, kind of like a music soulmate, if you know what I mean, as far as writing and making songs for that era,
Right.
And also on bass, we had Brian Carnes. Now, he was from Clarkston, a real good guy. He would drive up 3 times a week for practice from Clarkston to Saginaw, because we had a jam room right above our old shop. We owned and operated Young's Old Town Collision right there in Old Town.
That's right.
Yeah. So, the three of us put our heads together and just come up with jamming tunes. And I did what I did, guitar and vocals. And that was about it. We made the 3-piece work.
How long did that last?
We were in it for probably about 6-7 years, I'd say. And then we had some different things, going on. Brian, he got married, and I started to have kids. So that kind of took out a little bit of the touring early on that we were planning on doing. But I tried to hold it together for as long as we could until we all just kind of went different directions in life,
When did music come back around for you, man?
Well, that's the thing. I kind of felt a little empty after that, because once you find the perfect guys to groove with, it's just really hard to replace that feeling.
Yeah.
I know tons of people, and everybody was always just busy. And of course I got busy raising kids and doing my thing because, to me, family is everything. Mm-hmm. I got to watch every baseball game of my 2 boys, coming up, even did some coaching, some fun stuff like that. But the music really started coming back around probably I'd say about 4 years ago, to where I was just like, man, I got to get back out there. I had played solo gigs off and on by myself.
Okay.
But I really just, there's something inside me wanted to just get some music out, if you know what I mean.
Oh, yeah. And being a guy that was a recording artist originally, and then having gone through raising the family, let's see, what'd you guys end about 2004, 5, 6, somewhere in there?
About that, yeah.
You took about 15-year break minus your solo gigs. Now, when you were doing solo shows, was that periodic or was that often?
It was just basically kind of off and on. I would play around the Tri-Cities here just occasionally. I also kept up. I did a lot of private parties and stuff for people, actually throughout the state. One thing that they really liked is they brought that Port Huron float down back probably, I don't know, about 10 years ago. So every year in August, I would play a big float down party, where everybody floats down the Huron River there in Port Huron. They go under the big bridge and all that. And by the time they got down to us was just about where they all get off the river. So everybody's super tanked and, throwing fists in the air and just having a great time. So
Right.
one interesting story is that when they were all passing by, it was raining that day off and on, and it was kind of miserable for everybody. So I started playing Riders on the Storm, and everybody got a real good, real good tickle out of that one, man. So
when was that? Do you remember?
That was 2 years. I think that was 2 years ago. I did that one. The last one, yeah, I thought that was pretty funny. And
cool, man. So,
well, a lot of times when you're in the bars and all that stuff, most people sit there, just like Credence said, they just sit there drunk, which is no problem. We're there to entertain, have a good time. So, if you only had a nickel, if you know what I mean.
Absolutely. Now you got back in the studio. Now you said that was a couple of years ago that you did that show. That would probably been right in the middle of COVID then. Did you start your studio process for your new record during that time?
Yeah, for my brand new one. See, I've got two solo albums I've done. The first one I did was called Modern Man. It's got a lot of old tunes I held on to. And I did that one. Oh shoot. The start of that was probably 3 years ago, I'd say. But this last one, yeah, a lot of it develops through that COVID. I got a really nice jam room here surrounded by all my favorite Star Wars and superheroes figurines. And
nice.
I mean, I got World War II planes coming down and the Japs fighting, the Allies. And so I just kind of retreated in here because, as you know, there wasn't anything to do. So I just kind of poured myself into that new album, Walls.
Yep.
And, things just, I couldn't stop it from just flowing out. It's kind of hard to explain. It's just kind of where I kind of went to,
So when did you put out the first solo record? Because I didn't even know about that one.
Yeah. The first solo album, let's see this. It's called Modern Man.
Modern Man. Okay. Is that also on Bandcamp?
I'm not sure if that one's on Bandcamp. I know that it's on Spotify. It's on YouTube. It's on all the other streaming platforms.
Okay.
Me and Andy Reid, when we recorded this last album, we decided to throw that one on Bandcamp because I really put that first one out there as something free for the world. I mean, you can still listen to the Walls all you want on all the streaming platforms,
Yeah.
Never have been in it for any kind of monetary units or anything like that. I just love to play. But yeah, the first album's got a lot of really good tunes on it. So I just want to make sure if anybody's digging in, they feel free to go ahead and listen to that.
Well, that's great to know about that. I wasn't aware of it because I was on, I heard about your record from you and Andy in Bandcamp, but which is right where we're heading to. We were going to have a big discussion about this record, but I didn't, after Burden, I wasn't aware that you had another one out, Modern Man, there. That's really cool. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I'll have to look that up. Now, did you record that with Andy as well?
Yeah, I sure did. Me and Andy together did most of it, and we brought in Donnie Brown on drums because as we were getting into it, we thought, well, maybe it would just be something that me and him would do. But as Andy was seeing, he's like, man, these songs are pretty damn good. Let's start bringing in some hitters.
Nice. Well, I'm going to have to back check on that, and that leads us to the recording of Walls, which is like this. One of the reasons I'm calling today is help you promote this record and also tell people about it because it really hasn't gotten out there yet. But it is extremely lengthy, full of tunes, all of them top quality, grade A, 100% like vibe. And I don't know, how long did it take you to record this record? Because it is one of the coolest, longest, most epic filled records I've heard in a long time.
Oh man, Scott, I really appreciate that, buddy. Like I said, I've kind of put my heart into this one. I would say we knocked this one out off and on, with Andy's schedule, because he does such a great job with all the artists around here, man. He really does, and he helps us out tremendously. I'd say we probably got it done within 4 to 5 months off and on. But the beauty of this is I would go in there and we would get a song practically done in a 4-hour period. So every time I left the studio, man, I was jamming that thing and the speakers just rocking home. And then we'd set up a day where we'd bring in, some more of the people playing. So we'd have placeholders here and there, for like the drums and different things like that. We also got Scott Vandell in there on a few of the leads that we got playing guitar. And I'm telling you, it was just it's just a beautiful thing to watch that stuff come together because I really couldn't have done it without Andy's help. I'll tell you that.
And Donnie's on this record on drums again.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And who else is on here? Andy, Scott, Donnie, yourself. Pretty good
Yeah,
all-star lineup there.
Oh yeah. Well, see, we also have Lori Dale Aldrich on one tune that I was really proud of. It's a cover song, mind you, but it's one of my favorite songs on the planet. It's "Angel from Montgomery."
Yep. Mm-hmm.
You know, John Prine and Bonnie Raitt. So when I was talking about having somebody come in, I already heard quite a bit of stuff from Laura Dale, and Andy said that he had the perfect fit. So when she came in, she just knocked it out of the ballpark.
I thought that was definitely a great highlight on the record, especially to kind of centerpiece of a different vocal. After getting into the record so far, it gives you a little bit of a different perspective, you know.
Yeah, it totally adds flavor to it, you know. Sure does.
Is that the only cover on the album? Cover of song?
No, actually, there's two other covers that I really wanted to do. Nowadays, I don't know how to explain this. I don't want to try to cut down the whole Nashville scene with the with all that, but you know, it kind of feels like a lot of that music nowadays, for the past 15 years, has been made or manufactured, if you know what I mean.
Absolutely, and that's one of the reasons we're doing these podcasts and shows, is to show where the real music's coming from and where a lot of reality is outside of the computer box that everybody stamps their thing with, or you know, in other places around the U.S. among other areas in the country, you know, or world, I should say.
Well, see, that's why I threw the line in there. You know, we're not trying to make the scene like the boys down the street in them shiny jeans.
There you go. I did notice that.
yeah. So we had a lot of fun with that too, and that's the "Trying to Break It" song. It's kind of like waging a little war against the Nashville scene, where it's like stamped in a cookie factory. You know what I mean?
Completely.
Everything just sounds the same. There's no soul to anything. That's why I'm inspired by artists like Jason Isbell, Tyler Childers, you know, different things like that. It always have been by John Prine. I love everything the guy's ever touched. He's an amazing songwriter. Mm-hmm. So what I did is the other two covers is White House Road by Tyler Childers. We did a rendition of that.
Okay.
And then we did Children of Children by Jason Isbell, which I just love. Every time you listen to one of Jason's songs, he paints you a picture.
Absolutely, man.
You know, and that's and Andy really turned me on to him, you know, back during that first album. He's like, man, you know, you write really good. He goes, but I want you to really start listening to this guy and get in depth and really discover what he has out there. And I knew him from the Drive-By Truckers, but I really didn't know too much of his music. So I guess you could say I'm a late bloomer on finding out him. But I tell you what, it's constantly on my playlist.
I bet. He's amazing. Did you get to see him a week ago in Saginaw?
Oh, yeah, buddy.
I was there too. Yeah.
Oh, were you?
Oh, yeah. He's one of my favorites. Okay. I've been following him since I was into the Drive-By Truckers before he got into the band. But then when he jumped in the band, I'm like, whoa, this kid's got his own thing going on. And then 500 Unit came out and did a couple records I was familiar with. And then when he really broke on that third album there, that's cool, man. The guy's a hell of a writer and player and person.
Well, that's the thing. I'm so glad that he's getting more of the recognition he deserves. I know he's big out there, especially he's always been in the underground type stuff. But you know, this guy, you can sit on the Grammy stage and he'll blow just about anybody out of the water, in my opinion.
Absolutely. Well, that's cool that you got tuned into that. Now, when I listen to Walls, I must tell you, man, through the length of it and everything, I was almost thinking there's a couple ways you could look at that record. You could have probably broken it up into two albums. You have enough there to do a country Americana record and enough there to do kind of an Americana rock record. There's so many directions. As a matter of fact, I thought to myself, man, this kind of reminds me of the Four Sides. I don't know if you're familiar with Manassas. Stephen Still's band with one of the guys from the Byrds back in the day. I can't think of it offhand, but
anyway, you might be turning me out of something there, buddy.
Man, you know, side A was like rock songs and singer songwriter. Side B was country. Side C was pure rock, and side D were like the jams. You know, it was almost like that album's kind of like All Things Must Pass. It's got 4 separate sides and all these different angles, and everything had a. Anyway, I heard each of your tunes. I'm like, you could almost take half and do this and half and do that. And you could have broken it up into ballads, hitters. Yeah. I mean, there's so much. I heard everything from the Allman Brothers to John Prine to Jason Isbell to, I mean, it was swinging back and forth, and it was, and the Allman Brother vibe I thought was huge on some of the heavier tunes. You even brought in
Oh
some
yeah,
90s vibes into it, which I thought was really cool.
yep. That's what I was trying to channel a lot of that stuff too. You know, as we were going, and you got a great point there. We were initially gonna release 2 albums there.
Okay.
You know, one, like you said, exactly like you said, one would be more Americana, kind of a rock. You know, the other one was more of the countryside.
Yeah.
And so when we were getting near completion, I told Andy, I said, well, you know, what if we just put it all out together, man? You know, kind of just give people something that might just have a chance to kind of blow their mind a little bit. I don't know. I'm not trying to get ahead of myself. I'm just, I just love the album. You know, that's all.
Oh yeah, no, it's for the coming out in this era. You're doing something that a lot of people aren't doing anymore, and that's just giving it all, like filling that full CD, 80 minutes full. You know what I mean? As opposed to everybody's going back to the old, you know, that's putting out records now. It seems like the whole 40 minutes or less thing, or maybe an hour.
Yeah, that's exactly what I kind of didn't want to do. You know,
you throttled it here.
Well, that's the thing, you know. My cousin, he kind of, I brought him in to help me write a couple of tunes. You know, he's got a huge, just awesome cabin up north in Forest Lake, and we go up there and we write a little bit. We play, we have some fun, you know. His name's Matthew Young. He's not a writer per se, but he's pretty knowledgeable, and he's into the kind of the same music that I am, and a lot of people are. It's hard to say that to fathom a bigger fan of music than him, although he can't pluck a string. I always told him he should, you know. I try to get him to learn bass for years to back me up, you know.
Awesome.
But yeah, that's kind of the thing. A lot of our, you know, people are, even he, like I said, he was telling me, he's like, oh, you should just, you know, do like a 7-song album. I said, that's not enough, man. I feel naked if it's only 7 songs on an album.
Yeah.
You know,
I understand that, the whole EP vibe, and there's a lot of people doing that now too, where it's like a single or an EP coming out. It's everybody's got so many ways to swing the bat right now because it's unsure of how much time they want to. You're either going to explore your time with people or give them tidbits, and it's like I love how you jumped back in the water of like the '90s there and just maxed out a whole. Here's everything, and just take what you want out of it. But I definitely got that vibe. I got that whole. You know,
well, see, I'm glad you picked up on that. Yeah, I'm glad you picked up on that, Scott, because you know, there's a couple tunes in there where I kind of channel, you know, a little bit of Soundgarden in there, a little Chris Cornell action.
That's the '90s stuff. I was like, man, I could feel some '90s something coming out of you, and I was trying to figure out where I was pinpointing that from, but the edge of it, it had a nice edge to it, and it just took it completely out of which. Probably was closer to the Allman Brother vibe. It just took it one step further, you know, and I'm like, dude, you're throwing down here. You totally had, that's what gave me the idea of, you got 4 sides, kind of like Manassas, of different styles that you could have totally ran with it, 4 EPs or 2 albums. But I'm like, I love how you threw it at everybody. Like, here it is, man. This is my piece of art, you know, accept what it is.
Well, that's it, man. You know, it's my painting. I feel like, you know, I just want people to know what I'm about. You know, I love to play. I like it when people enjoy it, and that's cool that you picked up on all that because that's exactly what I was going for.
That's awesome. Now, tell me a little bit about some of the songwriting behind it, man. Like, what were something that stood out to you when you were writing those?
Well, I'm going to tell you, I got on the album there. You'll hear a song. The first one I want to really kind of talk about is it's the tune called Brother Michael.
Mm-hmm.
That I wrote for my brother. You know, he passed years back, and you know, he when I was 12, I first started learning to play. You know, my dad brought home a guitar. It was 1990. You know, the grunge was hitting the scene. Seattle was on fire.
Mm-hmm.
And that was my whole inspiration. You know, I mean, I grew up in going on trips to Mississippi and back because that's originally, you know, I was born in Mississippi, raised up in Michigan. You know, I'm a Michigan boy though. Don't get me wrong as far as that. Love all my teams, all that stuff. You know, tried and true. But here's the thing. You know, you're jamming Bob Seger from way back in the day, Creedence Clearwater, Hank Williams Jr., just George Jones. You get the songwriting in your veins, man.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in the feel. And like I said, there's nothing like rolling through the hills of Tennessee and Kentucky there jamming the Allman Brothers, dude, or Doobies, anything, man. It's just the feeling. Just stare out the window one time, just listen to that stuff, and you'll feel it, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's and my brother's tune, brother Michael, it's slowed down. It's that's something that came directly from like my soul, man. It talks about us growing up together, things we used to do. And, he was 7 years older than me, but hell, he'd go to all the football games with me, in high school when I was in high school. And, he's old enough to buy beer. So hot damn, he was a big hit with all my friends.
Right.
And then, you talk about getting in scuffles and fights and different things like that. And football, at the football games or different things, how it goes. And then, the last verse is the sad one, where I got the call of him, where they had found him. And he was living in Mississippi at that time, which it's 880 miles away from here, so there was nothing I could really do. And, we looked so much alike being just 7 years apart. We had a lot of the same interests, and he was just a hell of a guy. He really was. But I just really wish he would have, got a hold of me that night before he did what he did,
Right. Oh my Lord, man. I can't even fathom that. It was an intense song for sure. And I hope people dig that one up. Really.
Yeah, I think a lot of people that I've showed it to that had similar things, it's suffered a little bit of loss, I guess I shouldn't say a little bit of loss. Any loss is a great loss, in my opinion, I suppose. Right. But yeah, that's they told me just how much it really meant to him, that it was a great ode to him and to others. So I'd hope that I put that down and, kind of let people have a little release or something from some of the stuff they feel is all.
Well, it's beautiful that you shared your heaviness with others so they can help get through on their own. I mean, that's what it's about, man. And music's a healing tool too, so.
Yeah. Yeah. And I got a couple other tunes I could talk about real quick.
Sure.
Like I said, we kind of ran over at that Trying to Break It tune. That's a song about kind of just about the average guy trying to make it in the music industry when there's really not a lot of chance because it's controlled. A lot of it is, and I hope this doesn't ever ban me or get out to where they won't take me. But at the same time, you won't find me wearing earrings or doing anything crazy. I mean, to dress me up as a puppet on stage, I'm always going to be me.
Yeah. You want to do your own thing, and I think that's where all the truthful music from our heyday came from, was just people being themselves, and a record company that stood behind them and let them put out 15 albums before they had a single.
Well, as you know, man, back in the Seattle days, people were like, everybody started wearing flannels again and jeans, their jeans all just messed up and all that. And you'd go to the Gap and I'll be damned, they had, crappy jeans or whatever in these old flannels. And they asked them, was like, hey man, what inspired you guys for the style? And they said, hey, we were poor. Yep. That's what we wore. People would bring us stuff, they had roadies bringing them food, their practices and all that stuff. And they just hit it hard. It was all about the music,
Absolutely. Especially that cold, rainy scene out there that they had for so long. And coming out of that hair metal time, it was like a breath of fresh air. It was going back to the roots, but turning it up louder.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's where you and I came through that late 90s, getting a little bit of that essence and adding that to our 70s and 80s and 60s vibes and whatever, and turning it up a notch and doing our own and figuring out our own styles. And I noticed that with your writing, man, you got that Americana feel, which now I know a little bit more about with the whole Mississippi thing. But the whole you've always I don't know, man, it's you have a voice that relates to people, and it can hit you hard like a Soundgarden thing, or it can be laid back like a John Prine thing. And dude, that's one of the cool crossovers you have, which I think a lot of people don't get to hear in this area. Someone that can channel so many different areas with their own music and having it come right from the heart like you're doing right now, man. I think this is a record that really needs to be heard.
Yeah. I appreciate that, Scott. I do, man. That's pretty huge for me, buddy. I appreciate it.
Oh, no problem, man. It's the truth, man. So give me another song that tickled your fancy, man. I mean, they're all great, but I'm sure you wanted to highlight a couple.
Oh, yeah. Well, there's another one here that, like you said, talking about roots, that's where the Trying to Break It came from, type of thing. But I was trying to write a song that everybody wanted to hear with that one, that could feel that one and understand that. But there's another tune on there called Tennessee Line.
Mm-hmm.
Now this is it's you hear at the beginning of movies different, based on a true story, blah blah blah. This one is probably about 80% actual factual. I did fill in a little bit of filler, a little bit of fluff, I guess you could say. But that one is about my great uncle Retus. Now there's a southern name for you there. You won't hear that much. He fought. Yeah, he stormed the beaches of Normandy, man. And he came back and he was not the same dude. Gotten a lot of things down there. They all ran moonshine. They did crazy things together. They tried to hold families together, and back then they had big families. Every one of my uncles and great uncles have at least 5 kids, Retus just happened to have, I think he had 5 kids as well. If I'm not mistaken. But yeah, his, the only thing that didn't happen, he did kill a man, mind you. But he didn't go to prison for it. It was self-defense. I kind of, that's the 20% at the end of the song there where I have him, dying in prison and stuff.
Yep.
But as far as storytelling, I didn't want to put something out there. Oh, well, the guy, he got away scot-free, this and that. Not saying he was a bad human being, but he wrong, bad decisions, but also a different time entirely.
Oh, wow, man. Now that's a family story that you get to take and stretch out and run with that ball and give your feedback to. That's cool. That's a good tune too, man. I love that.
Yeah. We put a lot of heart in that tune, and that's and like I said, when you go in there and you sit with Andy, he comes up with just great ideas, producing, and he played quite a bit on that. I mean, a lot of guitar work, and he's phenomenal on the bass. The dude's just really good.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And I just love it when he turns over, he turns his chair to the right, and he kicks on that B3, man. There's
cool,
something
man.
About it.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I get the giggles, dude, when he says we need a little B3 on there, and I just sit back and just let him do his thing.
Absolutely. I see. I know what you're talking about. That's cool. Now, you and I were talking a couple months back, I think maybe around Christmas or just after, about hard to find ways of promotion nowadays, especially when you're not gigging out with a band or being able to put CDs or vinyl in people's hands. How have you been thinking about that, and what's your perspective right now? What do you foresee for Walls, actually?
Well, what I would really like to do is, I'd like to get a little bit of play, and I appreciate you sending me all them links and different people to contact and stuff. That's why I kind of wanted to, just maybe talk to you personally about it, and see if we can get some of that stuff going. And what I do is I got a lot of solo gigs coming up. To kind of promote it, where I'm making these banners right now. This little small things to sit beside me on stage, with QR codes, different things like that, to where they can, people are always asking, where can I hear this and that and this, and to be honest with you, man, I'm a guitar, I'm a guitar man. I'm a singer songwriter. That's where I focus all my energy. I'm not great at anything regarding tech or promotion. But it's just something I'm going to have to get into. And as far as that goes, that people can, they'll be able to scan those codes or look it up or, find the music there. But what I was really interested in doing, I'm trying to work with Andy and Donnie and these guys here, I guess if the schedules all meet up right and all that stuff, get us a gig for like a big CD release show. That's kind of what I'd like to get people to be able to hear this stuff, live in front and actually feel it. So I'm looking at trying to set a date at like the State Theater to get that off the ground in Bay City.
Hit it huge. That's impressive.
Yeah. So, just something fun like that. Cause right now it's just me, jamming and playing, and I don't mind that at all, but man, I'd like to get into the feels of this thing and actually put it out there and do a little pushing.
Are you having a hard time finding musicians to fill a band out, or what's that looking like?
Yeah. I really haven't pursued that wholly. Cause I know people, but I guess I'd need a little help with trying to arrange that stuff. Cause back in the day when we put Burden together, hell, we knew each other. Dave ran into Brian Carnes in Guitar Center down the Southfield, and he said, hell yeah, he jumped on board and we just went from there. I played with a lot of people. It's just trying to find the right fit, but at the same time, you get together, you can make it fit.
Right on. Yeah, and you can dig from your studio cats and see if they have any availabilities and see if they're willing to help. That's a cool thing too.
Yeah, like exactly.
Right. All right. In the meantime, are you have any shows coming up on your solo shows or anything?
Well, yeah. Right now, I'm starting to get some things going. Like I'll play like Castaways, different things like that, little gigs. Mode's Tavern. I'm trying to line some things up out there. Played out there one time last summer, and man, it was great. I the kind of music I play, I can play anything outlaw country, like you said. We can jam doobies, we can jam pretty much anything. You got to read the crowd, right?
Yeah.
So there was a Brantley Gilbert concert in Bay City that night, and I was playing Mode. That thing got over, and my God, there was 100 some odd people out there just surrounding the deck. So, I gave him a little bit of cash. I gave him some Junior. I gave him some George Jones. I gave them what they wanted, and it felt great, to have everybody kind of just, in on it and having a great time. So, I play a lot of places locally, but right now I got a big string of gigs too. It's for the outdoor adventures, camping grounds, stuff like that, all around the state. And I played about 6 of those the end of summer and into the fall. And they just love me so much that they want to try to book me up for everything they possibly can. And I said, well, I got to leave a little time out for other things. But, yeah, I mean, it's great. When you get around there, the people are so cool. It's almost like a campfire environment. If we have to, we'll run an extension cord out there. I'll throw up my little mini PA set, because it's just me. You don't need a monster PA out there.
Right.
So, but it's just good, because I get to interact with the people and talk with them, and they throw up requests. If I can't play it, by God, I'll throw it on my little tablet here and see if we can find it, and I'll run through it. I'm not scared.
Oh, that's cool. Oh, that's awesome, man. Good for you. Is there a place that people can go for a website or for Facebook or combination of the two to see your dates?
Yeah, well, right now on Facebook, I'm under Billy Young. They can check me out on there. Go on. I got a few things on there. And yeah, too. If they really want to see something cool, I got 2 videos on YouTube.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I got one with photographs. That's on the album too, the Walls album here. And that song is basically about everybody that's passed. I mean, your generations. And it's really cool. You just got to kind of listen to it and you'll feel it, at least I believe you will. And another one too, which is really cool, is a song I wrote, called Monsters. Now this is, it's Ain't No Monster Sitting Under My Bed. It's a really cool, catchy tune. And we did the video at Fear Factory. My friend Mandy Redburn owns it. So she was kind enough to, go, let us go in there and, shoot the whole video. So, I mean, you already had everything. We just had to go in there and act goofy,
Oh, dude.
For it. And I just love the video. Both videos came out great. So there's 2 there on YouTube you can find and access immediately.
Wonderful. That's cool.
Yeah. In the spring, I plan on going down. I'm going to shoot a video for that Tennessee line.
Okay. Yep.
And for the song Trying to Break It, because that's all basically past that Mason-Dixon line down there.
Right on, man. Do you have a website too?
No, actually I don't. That's another thing. Yeah. Another thing I got to get going. I know I kind of sound like a lackey here right now, but
well, I just wanted to make sure we could draw people to a hub,
yeah,
especially when you're trying to find promotion for something. That's probably number one. Outside of a Facebook link, which people can use for hub too. But I get you. Yeah. You're on your way with this record. So you're going to spend most of this year still promoting this album. Even it came out August 1st, I think I read.
Yeah. Yep.
And you also put it under, I thought was interesting, Billy Shane Young.
Yeah.
Is that to separate it from the other Billy Youngs, or what was the determination?
Well, yeah. The Billy Youngs on Facebook. That's what I go under that because funny story is I usually go by Shane. Shane Young. All my friends and all that stuff all know me. But then, everybody calls me Wild Bill. And that was back in the Burden days when I go off on solo tangents and then circle around and come back and join the wagon team, if you know what I mean. So, I'd have my drummer and bass player looking at me, but they knew when I was coming back because I'd walk back over towards the microphone.
Right, man. That's cool.
Yeah, it's just rock and roll, dude. It's just rock and roll. When you feel it, you feel it. So, but yeah, as far as my music goes, everything out there is under Billy Shane Young. That's my full name. Right. It's not William, mind you. It's because I'm a hillbilly. I'm a hillbilly.
Dude, that's awesome. Oh, cool. Well, I want to get some people out and listening to this, and you can shop this around and use this too, man. This is a wonderful record. I think Walls needs to get out. People can backtrack your history, which is what I'm all about on our page here, between the Burden and Modern Man. Getting down, hopefully listening to those records as well, and hear where the year came from, man. It's been a lot of years, and do you have already a plan to get back in the studio by chance?
Oh, yes, I do. Yes, I do. I got, I've already got, man, I have more songs than I don't even know how to explain. I have tons of songs, Scott. I continuously write. That's just something that I love to do. It's a good release. Keeps me out of trouble, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Well, your day job's pretty busy too. Tell everybody where you're at, man.
Oh, yeah. I own and operate Young's Collision. It's kind of out here in the sticks. I used to have the big shop in Old Town, but that kind of got expensive. And I'm telling you, I don't like working until 10 o'clock at night every night, trying to pay the bills on a big, huge building, So I got a smaller one right out here at my house. I got a shop all set up. I've been doing work out of here for the last 4 or 5 years. And it's, we do customs. We do pretty much anything you need. I don't try to bend anybody over backwards. I'm pretty much, in my standards, I think I'm a pretty good human being as far as that goes. I do a lot of custom works. Right now I got a 70 Monte Carlo on there. I'm doing a wicked flame job on. I just like to be artistic and hands-on with a lot of stuff.
Incredible, man. Now, where are you based out of?
It's in Hemlock. It's 18015 Lunny Road, Hemlock, Michigan.
Because people want to look you up, the artistic side, man. If they're, I don't know, if you've got car, or vehicle, something you want done, or the music, you're all art 24/7, man, and it's a very cool thing. And the Young Collision name's gone way back, and it's pretty legendary for the last 20 years, at least from my book. That's used to be on all the ads and everything. So
yes, sir.
Got a lot going on, brother, and you got your family going, and a whole new record coming, and this great album, Walls. And I thank you for your time, man.
Hey, I appreciate it, Scott. Thank you for having me, buddy.
Yeah, man, and keep me in the loop on everything you're doing so I can help promote it in any way I can, and as well as maybe we can get back together and share a jam again.
Yeah, hey, that'd be great, man. That'd be great.
All right, Billy. Well, look for this to come out. I'll hit you up privately, and we'll talk soon.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks, Scott.
Thanks, bro. Bye.
Bye.